Hello, everybody, and welcome to Riftbound Ramblings. I'm Barrett, your host, and today we'll be talking about the organized play structure provided to us by UVSgames.com and also other discussions from thegamer.com and Riftbound themselves, according from their Twitter and their website. Without further ado, let's dive on in. So today we're going to talk about things like Nexus Knights, Summoner Skirmishes, regional qualifiers, regional championships, all the way leading up to 2020X World Championship. Through the image displayed here, we're going to basically start from the bottom and work our way up, as well as some extra side information that has been provided to us through the company. So, Nexus Knights. They're essentially going to just be your local game night, as they describe here at the location below, at Dave's TCG. That could be your own local game store. It could be you traveling a couple hours to go to somewhere. Anywhere that you can play Riftbound, you're going to want to go to these Nexus Nights. And so, what is a Nexus Night? Well, they're local level events, and they provide you essentially a way for you to test your might against other players, whether they decide to do the four-player versions of Riftbound, the 1v1 versions of Riftbound. The company themselves has even talked about potential 5v5s, to really relate to League of Legends itself, which is where you play on a team of five and you do two lane games, which is a 2v2 and a 2v2, and then one jungler matchup where you do a 1v1. You can kind of do these tournaments any way you want. You could even do them in kind of pre-released or draft structures. Not that they're going to have any draft or pre-release type structures for Origins, the first set that will be coming out in October. But essentially, this is where you want to go because what do you win? Nexus Knight packs. These packs are supposed to contain roughly 18 possible parallel foils and or one of six alternate art runes. And so if you play other card games, things like One Piece or deck or games that use energy decks essentially, you might want to get your hands on these because they typically are pretty sought after in the secondary market. The runes, however, are going to appear roughly in only one out of every two packs. What's after that, though? Right above it, we have the Summoner Skirmishes. And these are what's going to be for the slightly more in-tune competitive player. These Summoner Skirmishes are going to be what people want to play in if you're looking to, as you can see from one of the prizes, a first round bye to the regional qualifiers. These are going to be what you're really going to see sought after because once you start hitting that higher level, there's going to be some real prizing that we want to talk about later on. That being said, Summoner Skirmishes allow you to receive promos, playmats. These promos include top 8 and top 4 and winner championship promos, playmats, championship playmats, things that you can get exclusively for winning these things. A lot of people do seek after nice playmats and promos, so they might be worth something for some people, for others not so much. And the winner, they said, will receive a full playset of the top 8, top 4, and the champion one. So that is new, at least when it comes towards other games that I have played. And that being said, the first round bye at regional qualifiers. This is kind of hit or miss for some people. There are other games that I've participated in where buy cards are positive and they can feel very good because one round at a tournament is a lot of pressure taken off of you. And to other people, they can be kind of negative because it is one less opponent for you to have a very high opponent win percentage against if you have to get down to those tiebreakers. But regardless, one less round you have to play at a tournament is pretty successful and pretty nice to have. So Nexus Knights, Summoner Skirmishes, these are what you're going to be playing at your local game stores that are into Riftbound. So if you don't have a store yet that's already into the game and you want to get things kicked off, this is what you want them to be interested in. You want to get their name in the ring as soon as possible. But Barrett, what do I do with this regional qualifier bag? If I do end up going to a Summoner Skirmish and I do what with it? Well, of course, you have to go to the regional qualifier, which the first one that they've announced to us is going to be in Atlanta, Georgia in December 2025, this year. So at the time of recording in June, you've got quite a few months to kind of plan through this. And of course, this is not going to be the only regional qualifier. And of course, North America is not going to be the only region for Riftbound. So of course, throughout 2026, there's going to be even more of these. And as you can see based off of the display, there's going to be a scaling championship qualifiers that are going to be given out at these events depending on how well you do. And of course, I'm sure most of you are kind of already looking ahead at what I'm talking about. This is where you can win cash prizing. And a lot of games have found success in cash prizing. There's a lot of reason to play these sort of games for these cash prizing. But of course, if you look over the chart, if you only have a 64-person regional qualifier, only first and second place are going to get those um, championship invites for the regional championship, which is that next step above. Also, that means how far down is the cash pricing breakdown? Information we're not sure of just quite yet. But they even did announce this other sort of small pricing. They call it the best of pricing, and it's for people that perform well using unique or off meta decks. So this is kind of like a reward for people that really want to play their favorite Lee Sin deck, even if Lee Sin isn't the most competitive deck in the game right now. You do get rewarded for playing your favorite League of Legends champion, and that's pretty awesome in my opinion. Of course, these do scale all the way up to 16. Top 16 we get their invites for a 512-person event, and at least based off of my own opinions, I think this game is going to blow up and become huge. And so this kind of structure does look appealing for if we get to large numbers of things like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon or Magic of the sorts. So this is going to be something that's appealing. But of course, what do I do in my championship qualifier? Well, that means you've made it. We go on a little bit further, and you can finally go to the regional championship. Now, so far they've announced that there's going to be 2 regional championships per region for Season 1. They have plans to increase this to probably 2 or 3 of these. I think of these essentially, if you are a Pokemon fan, to view these as your, like, invitationals. And they call them invitationals, but because you have to qualify for them, of course. Uh, Whereas in Pokemon, you don't have to qualify for them, you only have to qualify for Worlds. But these you must qualify for, and they're going to start in October of 2026. And I say you have to qualify for them, but they have told us that they're also going to hold last chance qualifiers for them. So I imagine these tournaments will take place probably on a Saturday or Sunday, or both. And Friday is going to be some sort of last chance qualifier, depending on size, of course. These last chance qualifiers could get quite big. They have to go longer than Friday, maybe even into Saturday. But then the total number of people that have qualified through the regional qualifiers will then compete against each other to for more cash prizing, promos, swag, etc., and potentially your world invitation to the World Championship to 2020X. Who knows when that'll be? I assume because these are starting in 2026, the first World Championship is probably not going to be until 2027. And where they have announced that a rotation for the game is going to be planned to start in 2028, I can only imagine that we're going to have a full year of these sort of structured events leading all the way up to a world championship without having an affection of rotation, of course. So that's pretty much going to be the breakdown that we were given through uvsgames.com, talking about all these different breakdowns and sizes of events. They have further introductions to talk to us about the tournament rules, which are being worked on. Of course, you can already find the core rules on the website if you want to start learning how to play Riftbound before it comes out. But some of you are here to talk about some other stuff, such as, well, what even is the cards I can play with? If you played a demo, of course those cards will be available. But Set 1, Origins, the spoilers start June 9th. That's tomorrow. So I will be excited to have another video ready to go live for you all tomorrow talking about the first spoilers cards available in Riftbound League of Legends trading card game, Origins. Of course, they also broke this down for giving us kind of a sneak peek of what kind of champions to expect, not just within the set, but what also their gameplay as archetypes relating to other card games, of course, is going to feel like. And if you've played the demo, you already know that Volibear ramps into a lot of energy so that you can, or runes, sorry, that you can play your high cost units. Of course, Yasuo is all about moving between the different lanes and taking control and getting a lot more points easily that way. Victor, lots of tokens, make a lot of things on the board. More controlling, I would say, as well, because they have things like board wipes. And of course, you have your Jinx deck. That was the discarding cards and getting advantage for having few cards and going very quick, very fast. But the news seems to be that we're gonna get some spoilers probably of Kaisa really soon. So Spellslinger type decks, if you're a Magic the Gathering fan, red blue Spellslinger type things, benefits for playing a lot of cards in a turn and having really impactful effects from your hand and less about having units on the board. So that's really exciting, and I'm really excited to talk about all these cards with you all. That being said, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, hit like, subscribe, comment down below, tell me what you think, and tell me what you're excited for Riftbound, as we are going to have this game here in the United States in October, and that is so exciting for everybody that is ready to play. Thanks so much for watching Riftbound Ramblings. Once again, I'm Barrett, and we'll see you all next time.